Magandang araw mga bata! Ako si Ma'am Regine, ang teacher mo sa math. And today we will be learning about laws of exponents and its application. This is a lesson for grade 7 mathematics under quarter 2, lesson 5. Kaya tara na and let's do the math. First, what is an exponent? Exponent tells us how many times the base will be multiplied by itself. Ito ang basic form ng exponents where a is the base and n is an exponent. Ang exponent ay laging sinusulat sa upper right side ng base. Hindi siya sinusulat ng magkapantay sa base at hindi sila magkasing laki. Ang exponent ay laging nasa upper right side ng base at ito ay mas maliit ang kanyang sukat compared sa base. And both the variables a and n can be replaced with a constant. Ang exponent ay binabasa ng raised to the power of and then depende doon sa number na pumapalit dito sa n, depende sa constant. Magbigay tayo ng example, a raised to the power of 2 dahil 2 yung ating exponent. Aside from that, you can also read that as squared. So instead of a raised to the power of 2, pwede siya maging a squared. Binabasa lamang ang squared kapag ang exponent ay 2. Hindi ito nagagamit sa ibang exponent 3 and above. So, sabi natin kanina, exponents tell us how many times the base will be multiplied by itself. So, ang base natin dito ay a. Imumultiply siya sa sarili niya ng 2 beses dahil ang kanyang exponent ay 2. Ito ang expanded form, a times a. Ang exponential form naman ay ito, a squared. Kung bibigyan natin ng value yung a, yung variable na a, magbigay tayo ng halimbawa. Say for example, magiging 5 ito. 5 raised to the power of 2 or simply 5 squared. Ito yung kanyang expanded form. 5 times 5 dahil yung base na 5 ay merong exponent na 2. 2 beses natin ito may multiply sa sarili niya. Kaya 5 times 5 na ang sagot ay 25. So, ang value natin for a squared, if a is equal to 5, ito ay magiging 25. Dahil 5 times 5 is 25. Another example, a raised to the power of 3. Dahil 3 naman ang exponent. Kung ang exponent ay 3, pwede rin itong basahin as cube. So, instead of a raised to the power of 3, pwede itong basahin as simply a cube. Itong squared at cube ay ginagamit lamang for 2 and 3 respectively. Kapag ang exponents ay 4 and above, wala na tayong special terms para dito. Babasahin natin siya as is. Raised to the power of 4, raised to the power of 5, and so on. So, ang ating exponential form ay a raised to the power of 3 or simply a cube. Ito ang kanyang expanded form, a times a times a. Ang ating base na a ay 3 beses nating imumultiply sa sarili niya dahil ang kanyang exponent ay 3. Magbigay tayo ng value ng a. Say for example, a is equal to 5. What is its value? Magiging 5 cube. So, ang 5 ang ating base, multiply natin siya sa sarili niya ng 3 beses. 5 times 5 times 5. Nang sagot ay 125. Dahil 5 times 5 ay 25. 25 times 5 ay 125. So, ang value nitong ating a cube, if a is equal to 5, ay magiging 125. Another example, we have a raised to the power of 4. Multiply natin yung base sa sarili niya ng 4 na beses dahil ang exponent natin ay 4. A times a times a times a. Kung bibigyan natin ng value yung a, say for example, it's 5. 5 raised to the power of 4. Multiply natin yung 5 sa sarili niya ng 4 na beses. 5 times 5 times 5 times 5 is equal to 625. Laws of exponents. First, we have product law of exponent. Any numbers, m and integers x and y, where m is raised to the power of x multiplied to m raised to the power of y is equal to m raised to the power of x plus y. The base must be the same before you can add the exponents. Bigyan tayo ng example. B squared multiplied to B cubed. So, dito, ang ating base ay B, parehong B, at ang ating exponent ay 2 and 3. Ito ang kanyang expanded form. So, B squared, multiply natin yung B sa sarili niya ng 2 beses, at yung B cubed naman, B na base ay multiply natin sa sarili niya ng 3 beses. Applying this formula or standard form, magiging B yung ating base dahil dapat pareho sila na B. And then, ang ating exponent ay magiging 2 plus 3. Itong 2 at 3 ay kailangan nating i-add together. Kaya ang ating magiging sagot ay B raised to the power of 5. Dito sa product law of exponent, always remember that you need to add the exponents together. You have to multiply the bases and then add the exponents. Dito, kasi pareho yung base na B, kaya kinopya lang natin siya B. And then yung exponent, we add 2 and 3, kaya naging 5. Pero say for example, itong ating bases ay may value instead of just using the variable B. Halimbawa, 3 squared, 3 yung ating base dito, at ito naman ay 2 cubed. Halimbawa, we still need to add the exponents together dahil under ito ng product law of exponent. 2 plus 3 is equal to 5 pa rin ang ating exponent. However, for the bases, we need to multiply them together. So, sabi ko kanina ito ay 3 squared multiplied to 2 cubed. So, 3 times 2 is equal to 6. Instead of B, ang magiging sagot na natin ay 6. 6 raised to the power of 5. So, ito yung exponential form niya, 6 raised to the power of 5. Pwede mo rin namang gamitin sagot yung kanyang expanded form. I-multiply mo lang yung base na 6 ng 5 beses dahil ang exponent ay 5. So, yun ay magiging 6 times 6 times 6 times 6 times 6. So, instead of B, magiging 6 lang siya. Ganun din naman. Next, we have Quotient Law of Exponent. We have 3 scenarios, A, B, and C. Any numbers m and integers x and y. Sa first scenario natin, we have m raised to the power of x divided by m raised to the power of y is equal to m raised to the power of x minus y. We have to subtract if x is greater than y. Ito muna yung unahin natin. Bigay tayo ng example for scenario A. Halimbawa, a raised to 5 divided by a raised to the power of 2 or simply a squared. Ito ang expanded form ng a raised to the power of 5. A raised to the power of 2 naman ay ito yung kanyang expanded form. According dito sa ating standard form, if x is greater than y, ibig sabihin yung exponent ng ating numerator, which is 5, is greater than the exponent of our denominator, which is 2. So, since mas malaki yung 5 kay 2, ito ay under ng scenario A. Ito ay magiging A raised to the power of 5 minus 2. So, we have to subtract them together. Pwede nating i-cancel itong dalawa. Cancel din natin yung dalawa pa na magkapareho. Meron tayong natirang 3 dito sa numerator. Kaya ang magiging sagot natin ay a cubed. Dahil 5 minus 2 is simply 3. Or kitang-kita naman natin dito sa expanded form, may matitirang 3. Dito naman tayo sa scenario B. Same standard form din ito. M raised to the power of x minus y. However, magiging equal to 1 dapat ang sagot. Lahat dapat ay magiging equal to 1 ang sagot if x is equal to y. Okay, tayo na example. Say for example, a cubed divided by a cubed. Meaning, yung ating exponents ng both numerator and denominator ay equal or pareho. Ito ang expanded form nilang dalawa. Pareho lang naman. A, the base is multiplied by itself ng 3 beses. Yan ay magiging a raised to the power of 3 minus 3 dahil x minus y pa rin naman ito. Cancel natin yung 3 magkakapareho. Wala nang natira. And 3 minus 3 is 0. Kaya magiging sagot natin ay a raised to the power of 0. Ang exponent ay magiging 0 or simply 1. In fact, every base na may exponent na 0 ay laging equal to 1. b raised to the power of 0 is also equal to 1. Ganon din yung 1 raised to the power of 0, 1 din yun. 5 raised to the power of 0, 1 din yun. Basta ang exponent ay 0, laging 1 yung kanyang value. Pareho lang yan. Next, pumunta naman tayo sa scenario C, wherein x is less than y. So, magiging ganito naman yung kanyang standard form. Magbigay tayo ng example. Ito ang expanded form ng a squared. Dalawang beses natin i-multiply yung base sa sarili niya. And then, ito naman yung expanded form ng a raised to the power of 4. 4 na beses naman. So, ito ay magiging a, yung kanyang base, 2 minus 4. We have to subtract them. Cancel natin yung magkapareho. May matitirang dalawa, pero ito ay nasa baba. Therefore, ito ay magiging negative 2. Dahil alam natin na sa integers, 2 minus 4 is equal to negative 2. Kung ang ating exponent ay negative, kailangan natin siyang gawing positive by writing it in a fraction form. Kaya a raised to the power of negative 2 is also equal to 1 over a squared. Positive na dito yung 2, kaya lang nasa denominator na siya. We also have power of a power rule. Ang power of a power rule can be applied both to multiplication and division. Any numbers, m and integers x and y, where m is raised to the power of x, enclosed siya in a parenthesis, and then the exponent is y, equal to m raised to the power of x multiplied to y. Bigay ako ng example wherein applicable siya for multiplication. We have a squared raised to the power of 3, or simply a squared cube. Meaning, itong a squared ay enclosed in a parenthesis. And then, yung kanyang value ay kailangan pa nating i-raise to 3 or i-multiply sa sarili niya ng 3 beses. Ito yung kanyang magiging expanded form. A squared will be multiplied by itself ng 3 beses. Ito yung ating magiging expanded form. A squared will be multiplied by itself ng 3 beses dahil ang ating exponent na nasa labas ay 3. Following this standard form, let's copy the base, which is a, and then 2 times 3. Itong dalawang exponent ay kailangan nating i-multiply together. Kaya ating magiging sagot ay a raised to the power of 6. Kopyahin lang natin yung base, which is a, and then 2 times 3 is equal to 6. Another example, we have a squared divided by b cubed raised to the power of 3. Expanded form itong a squared raised to the power of 3 ay ito. A squared, multiply natin sa sarili niya ng 3 beses. Then, kailangan natin i-multiply yung 2 and 3 na kanilang mga exponents. Ganon din naman, yung b cube. Ito yung kanyang expanded form. B cube raised to the power of 3. So, 3 beses natin siya i-multiply sa sarili niya. This is also similar to b raised to the power of 3 times 3. So, multiply lang natin yung exponent ni a na 2 and 3. I-multiply din natin yung exponent ni b na 3 doon sa 3 na nasa labas. Kaya 3 times 3. Therefore, ang ating sagot ay a raised to the power of 6 over b raised to the power of 9. We also have power of a product, where any numbers m and n integers x, m multiplied to n raised to the power of x is equal to m raised to the power of x multiplied to n raised to the power of x. Magbigay tayo ng halimbawa. 2ab cube. Meaning yung 2ab ay enclosed in a parenthesis raised to the power of 3. It can also be written this way kung paano natin siya ma-evaluate. Yung ating numerical coefficient na 2 ay i-raise natin to the power of 3. Kaya 2 cube. And then yung a sa ating literal coefficient ay ganun din. A cube. At yung b ay i-raise din natin siya to the power of 3. So b cube. Multiply them together. Kunin natin yung value. Magiging a cube, b cube. 8 ay nakuha sa 2 times 2 times 2. 3 beses natin minultiply ito sa sarili niya, which is equivalent to 8. And then a cube and b cube ay kukopyahin lamang natin. Lastly, we have power of a quotient. Any numbers m and n integers x, where m divided by n is raised to the power of x is equal to m raised to the power of x divided by n raised to the power of x. Bigay tayo ng halimbawa. 3 divided by 2 raised to the power of 3. Itong ating base na 3 ay i-raise natin sa exponent na 3. So we have 3 cubed. Ito ang kanyang expanded form. Multiply natin yung 3 sa sarili niya ng 3 beses. Ganon din naman yung ating denominator na 2. So ito ay magiging 2 cubed. Siya yung base. Ito yung ating exponent. At ito yung kanyang expanded form. 3 beses i-multiply yung base na 2 sa sarili niya. And our result will be 27 over 8. 27 is from 3 times 3 times 3. And 8 is from 2 times 2 times 2. So, pwedeng ito na yung ating final answer since hindi na natin na ito masisimplify pa. Wala silang GCF. Kaya ito na yung ating sagot. Or pwede rin naman natin na i-perform yung operation. We can divide 27 by 8. Ang magiging sagot natin ay decimal number or 3.375. Any of the two ay pwede nating maging sagot. Now that we understand the laws of exponents, we can now apply these to multiplication of polynomials. Aside from the laws of exponents, very important din na alam natin yung basic rules of multiplication of integers. The product of integers with similar signs is positive. So for example, ang ating i-multiply together ay parehong positive at parehong negative. Pag pareho yung sign ng ating dalawang integer na minumultiply, ang sagot natin dapat ay positive. On the other hand, the product of integers with dissimilar signs is negative. So, kung tayo mag-multiply ng dalawang integers na ang sign ay isang positive at isang negative, ang magiging sagot natin dapat ang sign niya ay negative. With that in mind, let's have an example for multiplying a monomial by another monomial. So, ang monomial ay isang uri ng polynomial wherein meron itong isang term lamang. Mono means 1. So, have an example. Multiply 3xy and 4xz. So, ang 3xy ay monomial at ang 4xz ay monomial din. Dito sa 3xy, ang ating numerical coefficient ay 3. Literal coefficient natin ay xy. Dito naman sa 4xz, 4 ang numerical coefficient at ang literal coefficient ay xz. Para hindi tayo mahirapan, ang una natin gagawin ay we need to multiply the numerical coefficients together. 3 times 4 is equal to 12. Next, mapapansin natin na yung dalawang monomial ay parehong may variable na x. So we can multiply them together. X times x is equal to x squared. Dahil applying the laws of exponent, kopyahin natin yung base na x and then yung kanilang exponent ay dapat i-add natin together. Kaya naging 2. Saan nanggaling yung 2? Kapag tayo ay nakakakita ng mga variables na walang visible na exponents, automatic ito ay may invisible 1. Kaya silang dalawa ay parehong x raised to the power of 1. Kaya 1 plus 1 is equal to 2. And then, itong term na 3xy ay may y, itong 4xz ay wala, at ito namang 3xy ay walang z, pero may z naman sa 4xz. So, kopyahin lang natin yung y, kopyahin din natin yung z, since wala naman silang kapareho dun sa kabilang term. And then, let's put them all together. Ang ating magiging sagot ay 12x squared yz. Pagkasama-samahin lang natin sila into one term. If we multiply a monomial by another monomial, dapat ang sagot natin ay monomial din. Bigyan naman tayo ng example under multiplying a trinomial by a monomial. Trinomial is a kind of a polynomial with 3 terms because tri means 3. Example, find the product of 3abc and 4a squared plus 3a minus 5. Ito yung ating monomial. Ito naman yung ating trinomial. Para ito ay ating masolve, we actually have 2 ways on how to do it. First, we can use the distributive property wherein i-distribute natin or i-multiply natin yung monomial dito sa bawat terms ng trinomial. Unahin natin yung first term ng trinomial which is 4a squared. Multiply natin siya kay 3abc. Next, yung pangalawang term naman, 3abc multiplied to 3a. Pansinin na yung ating sign dito ay plus dahil plus yung sign ni 3a. Dito naman, sa pangatlo, magiging minus sign dahil minus sign yung ating sign before the third term which is 5. 3abc multiplied to 5. After nating mag-distribute, pwede natin siyang i-treat as multiplication of monomial by another monomial. Then yung sagot natin sa kanilang tatlo ay pagsasama-samahin natin after. Umpisahan natin dito sa 3abc multiplied to 4a squared. 3 times 4 is equal to 12. Pareho sila na may a. So ito ay a raised to the power of 1. May invisible 1 si a, ganun din si b at si c. Itong 4a squared ay walang b and c, pero meron siyang exponent na 2 for a. So, ito ay magiging a raised to 3. Yung 3 ay galing sa 1 plus 2. Kopyahin yung base a, 1 plus 2 is equal to 3. And then, b and c, kopyahin na lang since wala namang b and c na mga variables si 4a squared. Punta tayo sa pangalawang term, 3abc multiplied to 3a. Kopyahin natin yung sign na plus sign. 3 times 3 is equal to 9. Pareho silang may variable na a, pero walang mga visible exponents. So, pareho silang may invisible 1. Kaya yan ay magiging 1 plus 1, which is a squared. Yung 3a ay walang b and c na variables. So, open lang natin siya. Ang sagot natin dito ay 9a squared bc. Dito naman tayo sa pangatlong term. Kopyahin natin yung minus sign. And then, multiply natin yung mga constants or numerical coefficient. 3 times 5 is equal to 15. Ito ay walang variable at all. Wala siyang literal coefficient. Kaya, kopyahin lang natin yung ABC. So, ang sagot natin dito ay 15 ABC. Kaya dito, sa ating problem na ito, ang sagot natin ay 12a cubed BC plus 9a squared BC minus 15ab. Same example, kukunin natin yung product nilang dalawa. Kaya lang, instead of distributive property, gagamitin na natin yung vertical method. So, isulat natin yung trinomial dito sa taas. Multiplied by itong ating monomial. And then, let's start multiplying yung ating monomial from left to right. Kaya 3abc multiplied to 4a squared is equal to 12a cubed bc. Kasi 3 times 4 is 12, pareho silang may a. A, 2 plus 1 is equal to a cubed. And then, kopyahin natin yung bc since walang bc ang 4a squared. Next, ito naman, 3abc multiplied to 3a. Ang ating magiging sagot ay 9a squared plus bc. Plus sign kasi plus din ito. 9 ay galing sa 3 times 3. A squared ay galing sa a 1 plus 1, invisible 1, and then BC, kinopya lang natin since walang B and C variables sa 3A. Last term tayo, 3ABC multiplied to negative 5. Negative 5 kasi yung kanyang sign before it is minus. So, ang result natin dyan ay minus 15ABC. 3 times 5 is equal to 15. And then, walang literal coefficient si 5. Siya ay constant lamang na 5. So, let's copy the literal coefficient of 3. Kaya magiging 15abc minus dahil minus sign ito. Ang sagot natin dito ay pareho lang naman kung ang gagamitin natin ay distributive property. We only have two ways on how to perform it. Next, we have multiplying a trinomial by a binomial. Ang binomial naman, this is a kind of a polynomial with two terms because by means 2. We also have two ways on how we can perform this, horizontal method and vertical method. Horizontal method is also similar to distributive property. Pareho lang yun. So, have an example. What is the product of m minus 4 multiplied to m squared plus 3m plus 7? Since horizontal method tayo, we need to distribute. Unahin natin dito yung first term ng binomial, multiply natin siya sa kada term nitong ating trinomial. So, that's m multiplied to m squared. Dun tayo sa pangalawang term, m multiplied to 3m plus, dahil plus sign yung nasa gitna. Next, m multiplied to the third term which is 7. Plus, kasi plus sign din yun nasa gitna. Ito yung na-distribute natin yung first term ng binomial doon sa kada term ng trinomial. After nyan, punta naman tayo ngayon sa second term which is negative 4. Negative 4 multiplied to m squared. Negative 4 multiplied to m squared. Kaya ito naging plus dahil ang ibig sabihin lang natin ay we'll have to combine them together. Pero yung sign ni 4 ay negative. Pangalawa, negative 4 multiplied to 3m. At yung pangatlong term naman ay 7 multiplied to negative 4. So after natin siyang ma-distribute, pwede na natin siyang i-multiply na parang monomial by monomial. M multiplied to m squared is equal to m cubed dahil 1 invisible 1 plus 2 is equal to 3. Next, we also have 3m squared na result naman ng m times 3m. Si m ay walang literal coefficient. So, tulad ng exponent niya na invisible 1, siya din ay may literal coefficient na invisible 1. Kaya 1 times 3 is equal to 3. And then yung exponent ay naging 2 dahil 1 plus 1 is equal to 2. Kaya 3m squared. Next, m multiplied to 7, magiging 7m. Sumunod naman ay negative 4 multiplied to m squared ay magiging negative 4m squared. Ang negative 4 multiplied to 3m ay magiging negative 12m naman. Because negative 4 times 3 is equal to negative 12. Different signs sila, kaya naging negative. And then copy m. Last term natin, negative 4 times 7 ay negative 28. Different signs, kaya negative yung ating product. And then we'll have to combine them all together. Kung mapapansin natin dito, natatanging ito lang yung term na may exponent na 3. Walang kaparehong iba. So, ibaba lang natin siya. M raised to m cubed. Next, meron tayo ditong dalawang terms na may parehong literal coefficients. Positive 3m squared at saka negative 4m squared. Hindi natin sila pwedeng ibaba ng sabay dito. We have to combine them together first. Ang magiging sagot natin ay negative m squared. Ito ay galing sa 3 plus negative 4. Alam natin na pag tayo ay mag-a-add ng integers na magkaiba yung sign, we need to subtract their absolute values. Kaya magiging 4 minus 3 which is 1 and then yung ating sign ay manggagaling doon sa larger number. Between 3 and 4, mas malaki si 4. Si 4 ay negative kaya naging negative itong ating sagot. And then ang sagot natin ay negative 1. Negative 1m squared. Kapag 1 ang ating numerical coefficient, no need na isulat na siya. Automatic, alam natin na may invisible 1 na yung mga yan. Next, meron tayo ditong dalawang terms na pareho ng literal coefficient, m lamang, meron silang invisible 1, so we need to combine them together. Ang ating magiging sagot ay negative 5m. Galing ito sa 7 plus negative 12. Positive yung 7, negative yung negative 12. Kaya ang gagawin natin ay kailangan nating isubtract yung kanilang mga absolute values. Magiging 12 minus 7. 12 minus 7 is equal to 5. And then, yung sign ng ating sagot ay based sa sign ng larger number which is 12. Ang 12 ay negative. Kaya magiging negative 5 yung sagot natin. And then, just copy the literal coefficient. Next, kopyahin lang natin, drop down natin yung negative 28 dahil aside from negative 28, wala naman ng ibang constants dito. Kaya ang ating sagot dito ay m cubed minus m squared minus 5m minus 28. So aside from horizontal method, pwede rin natin itong i-multiply ng vertical method. Kopyahin lamang natin yung trinomial at saka yung binomial dito sa baba. Ang una nating i-multiply dito ay yung first term muna. First term left to right and then second term left to right. Unahin nating i-multiply yung m multiplied to m squared. Yun ay magiging m cubed dahil yung exponent nila ay 1 plus 2 is equal to 3. Next, m multiplied to 3m. Ang sagot ay magiging 3m squared. Dahil itong m ay may invisible 1 na numerical coefficient, 3 times 1 ay equal to 3. And then, yung exponent na ng ating m na variable ay 2 dahil meron silang invisible exponents 1 plus 1. Next, m multiplied to 7 ay magiging 7m. Next, dito naman tayo pumunta sa second term ng binomial. Left to right din natin siyang i-multiply. Next, negative 4 multiplied to m squared ay magiging negative 4m squared. Ipagtapat natin yung pareho ng literal coefficients. Negative 4 dahil negative 4 multiplied to invisible 1 ay negative 4. Positive and negative, kaya negative. And then, just copy the literal coefficient m squared. Next, negative 4 times 3m, sagot natin ay magiging negative 12m. Itapat ulit natin siya sa pareho ng literal coefficient. Negative 12 ay galing sa negative 4 multiplied to 3, kaya negative 12, and then copy the literal coefficient. Last terms tayo, negative 4 multiplied to positive 7, different signs, kaya ang sagot ay magiging negative 28. And then, let's add them together. Yung m cube ay walang kapareho, just drop it down. Positive 3m squared plus negative 4m squared, magkaiba ng sign, so we need to subtract the absolute values. 4 minus 3 is equal to 1. Ang sign ay magiging base sa ating larger number. Ang 4 ay negative, kaya magiging sagot natin dito ay negative m squared. Kaya naging negative m squared ay no need na natin na ipakita yung 1 dito dahil alam natin na 3 plus negative 4 is equal to negative 1. And then, just copy the literal coefficients. Automatic na meron tong invisible 1. Next, 7m plus negative 12m. Different signs pa rin sila, so we need to subtract their absolute values. 12 minus 7 is equal to 5. And then, yung 5 ay magiging negative dahil ang ating larger number ay 12 na may sign na negative. And then, copy the literal coefficient m. Walang kapareho na constants yung negative 28, kaya drop it down. Yung sagot natin dito sa vertical method ay pareho lang sa ating sagot sa distributive or horizontal method. Let's have an example under multiplying a trinomial by another trinomial. Multiply m cubed plus m minus 4 by m squared plus 3m plus 7. Unahin muna natin yung ating horizontal method via distributive property. M cubed multiplied to m squared. Combine natin siya sa m cubed multiplied to 3m. And then m cubed multiplied by 7. Pangalawa naman natin na term ng ating trinomial na ito ay m. I-distribute natin dito sa kada term. M multiplied by m squared. Pangalawang term naman tayo. M multiplied by 3m. Third term, m multiplied by 7. So, meron tayong pangatlong term which is negative 4. Distribute din natin siya sa kada term. Negative 4 multiplied by m squared. Negative 4 multiplied by 3m. Last, we have negative 4 multiplied by 7. And then, let's multiply them all together na para siyang monomial by monomial. Unahin natin ito. M cubed multiplied to m squared is equal to m raised to the power of 5. Dahil 3 plus 2 is 5. Next, m cubed multiplied to 3m is equal to 3m raised to the power of 4. 3 multiplied to invisible 1 is 3. Kopyahin natin yung variable na m. Yung 4 ay galing sa 3 plus 1. Next, m cubed multiplied by 7 is 7m cubed. Ito naman ay magiging m cubed dahil invisible 1 plus 2 is equal to 3. Ito namang m multiplied by 3m ay magiging 3m squared. 3 multiplied to invisible 1 na literal coefficient ay 3. And then, 1 plus 1, dalawang invisible 1, magiging 2. Next, m multiplied to 7 ay 7m. Sumunod naman, negative 4 multiplied to m squared ay negative 4m squared. Ito namang negative 4 multiplied to 3m ay magiging negative 12m. Negative 4 times 3, different signs, kaya magiging negative yung ating sagot. And then copy the variable m. Negative 4 times 7 is equal to negative 28. Let's combine them together. Yung mga pareho ng exponents, kailangan na natin i-add. Si m raised to the power of 5 lamang yung may exponent na 5, walang iba, kaya let's drop it down. Sa term naman na may exponent na 4, siya lang din mag-isa, so just drop it down, 3m raised to the power of 4. Next, doon naman tayo sa mga literal coefficients na may exponent na 3. Meron tayong dalawa, 7m cubed tsaka m cubed. So we need to combine them together. Pareho silang positive, so we need to add them. Ito ay magiging plus 8m cubed. 7 added to positive invisible 1, 7 plus 1 is 8. Parehong positive, kaya positive din yung sagot. And then, copy the literal coefficients m cubed. Doon naman tayo sa mga terms na merong exponent na 2. Meron din tayong dalawa. Positive 3m squared at saka negative 4m squared. So, dahil magkaiba yung kanilang signs, we need to subtract their absolute values. Kaya ito ay magiging 4 minus 3, which is 1. At yung sign ay magiging base dun sa ating sign ng larger number. Kaya magiging negative 1 yung ating sagot. Since negative 1 ito, no need na ipakita yung 1, invisible lamang ito. And then copy the literal coefficient to make sure lang na negative siya, to emphasize na negative itong term. Next, doon naman tayo sa literal coefficient na m lamang, may invisible 1. We have 7m and negative 12m. Different signs, kaya magiging 12 minus 7, which is 5. Negative 5 dahil yung ating larger number ay 12, which is negative. Kaya magiging negative 5m. Kopyahin lamang natin yung ating literal coefficient na 5. And then, ito lamang ang nag-iisang constant. Drop it down. Minus 28. Kaya dito, sa trinomial by trinomial na ito, na polynomials ay, ito ang ating sagot. M raised to the power of 5 plus 3m raised to the power of 4 plus 8m cubed minus m squared minus 5m minus 28. Same example tayo, pero gagamitin naman natin ang vertical method. So, sulat natin yung ating first trinomial. Kahit ano naman yung nasa taas at nasa baba ay pareho lang naman, since pareho naman silang trinomial. Same procedures pa rin tayo. Itong first term natin ay mumultiply natin from left to right. Kaya m squared multiplied by m cubed, ang sagot ay magiging m raised to the power of 5 kasi 3 plus 2 is equal to 5. Next, m squared multiplied by m is equal to m cubed dahil 2 plus 1 ay 3. And then, m squared multiplied to negative 4 ay negative 4m squared. Pangalawang term naman tayo, left to right ulit. 3m multiplied by m cubed ay magiging 3m raised to the power of 4. 3 times invisible 1 is 3. And then, m ay 3 plus 1 magiging 4. Ilagay natin yung ating sagot dito kasi wala naman siyang kapareho ng literal coefficient. Next tayo, 3m multiplied by m. Ang sagot natin ay magiging 3m squared. Ipagtapat natin dun sa pareho ng literal coefficient. 3 multiplied by invisible 1 is 3. And then 1 plus 1 yung invisible exponents nila kaya magiging 2. Next, 3m multiplied by negative 4 is equal to negative 12m. 3 positive multiplied by negative 4 ay negative 12 and then copy m. Doon tayo sa pangatlong term, 7 multiplied by m cubed ay magiging 7m cubed. Itapat natin ito dito sa m cubed, then ang literal coefficient. And then 7 multiplied to m ay 7m. Tapat din natin siya. Pareho sila ng literal coefficients. And then 7 multiplied by negative 4 is negative 28 because of their different signs. Add them all together. Yung m raised to the power of 5 ay walang kapareho, so drop it down. Ganon din naman ang 3m raised to the power of 4, plus kasi positive siya. Yung ating literal coefficients na m cube ay dalawa, parehong positive, so let's add them together. Magiging 8m cube, 1 na invisible, plus 7 ay 8, and then copy the literal coefficient m cube. Ito namang m squared ang literal coefficient, magkaiba ng sign, so we have to subtract their absolute values. 4 minus 3 is equal to 1, magiging negative 1 dahil negative yung ating bigger number. Kaya ang sagot natin ay magiging negative m squared, no need ipakita yung invisible 1. Next, negative 12m plus positive 7m, magkaiba ng sign, so magiging subtraction of absolute values ulit tayo. 12 minus 7 is equal to 5. Magiging negative 5 dahil larger number yung 12 at negative siya. Copy the literal coefficient m and then drop down negative 28 since wala siyang kapareho. Itong ating sagot dito sa vertical method ay pareho lang din dun sa ating sagot sa horizontal method or distributive property. We're done with the multiplication of polynomials. Let's go to division of polynomials. Dito naman, very important pa rin na we apply the law of exponents. Pati na rin ang alam natin dapat kung ano yung ating rules of division of integers. The quotient of integers with similar signs, meaning yung ating i-divide ay either parehong positive or parehong negative. Yung sign ng ating sagot or yung quotient ay dapat na positive. On the other hand, the quotient of integers with the similar signs is negative. So, pag ang ating dinidivide na mga integers ay isang positive or isang negative, magkaiba sila ng sign, dapat ang ating result or quotient ay negative. So, have an example. A third dividing a monomial by another monomial. So, ito ay dalawang polynomials na meron tag-isang term lamang. Find the quotient. 25x raised to the power of 5 y squared z cubed divided by 5xy cubed z squared. Dito sa monomial na ito, 25 ang ating numerical coefficient at yung x raised to the power of 5y squared z cubed ay yung ating literal coefficient. Dito naman, 5 yung numerical coefficient at ito naman yung ating literal coefficient. Unahin natin na i-divide muna yung mga numerical coefficients nila. So, 25 divided by 5 is equal to 5. Next, dun tayo sa x. Pareho sila na may variable na x. So, x raised to the power of 5 divided by x, applying the quotient law of exponents, kailangan nating ipag-subtract. Naging 4 ito dahil ito ay merong exponent na 5. Ito naman ay may invisible 1. So, 5 minus 1 is equal to 4. Next, pareho din sila na may y. Y squared, galing dito. And then, y cubed, galing naman dito sa monomial na ito. Y squared divided by y cubed is equal to y raised to the power of negative 1. Negative 1 dahil 2 minus 3 is negative 1. We know na kapag negative yung ating exponent, pwede natin siyang gawing positive by writing it in a fraction form wherein magiging denominator na siya. So, 1 over y. Y lamang dahil ito ay may invisible 1 na positive exponent. Next, we have z cubed from this monomial divided by z squared from this monomial. So, ang ating magiging sagot ay magiging z raised to the power of 1. 3 minus 2 is 1. Or simply, z. Dahil kapag ang ating exponent naman ay positive 1, no need na natin siyang isulat. Let's combine them all together. Ang magiging sagot natin dito ay 5x raised to the power of 4, y raised to the power of negative 1, z. Itong z ay may positive 1 na invisible. Since tayo ay may dalawang positive exponents at isang negative, gawin natin siyang positive lahat. Magiging final answer natin ay 5x raised to the power of 4z and then over y. Itong y ay may positive 1. Alam natin na yung y ay kailangan natin gawing fraction form na. So, magiging denominator siya para maging positive. Kaya ang ating final answer ay ito. Next, we have dividing a multinomial by a monomial. When we say multinomial, this is a kind of a polynomial with more than 3 terms. So, ang terms ito ay 4 pataas. Example, what is the quotient of 4x raised to the power of 8 plus 6x raised to the power of 6 minus 2x raised to the power of 4 minus 10x squared. So, ito yung ating multinomial divided by ang ating monomial na 2x squared. Ang gagawin natin dito ay kada term sa ating multinomial ay i-divide natin by the monomial. So, unahin natin itong dalawa. 4x raised to the power of 8 divided by 2x squared. Ang sagot natin ay magiging 2x raised to the power of 6 dahil 4 divided by 2 is equal to 2. Copy x, yung ating variable, and then 8 minus 2 is equal to 6. Next naman tayo sa second term. 6x raised to the power of 6 divided by 2x squared. Ang magiging sagot natin dyan ay 3x raised to the power of 4. Dahil 6 divided by 2 is equal to 3, copy x. 6 minus 2, yung exponents ay magiging 4. Doon tayo sa third term, negative 2x raised to the power of 4 divided by 2x squared. Negative 2x raised to the power of 4 ito dahil minus sign yung nasa unahan itong term na ito. So, dapat negative siya. Ang sagot natin ay magiging negative 1x squared. Dahil negative 2 divided by positive 2 ay negative 1. Sila ay may different signs kaya negative dapat yung sagot. And then copy x. Exponents natin ay 4 minus 2 kaya 2 yung exponent. Or simply, negative x squared. No need isulat yung ating invisible 1. Basta make sure lang na iwan natin yung negative to signify na ito ay term na negative talaga. Last terms naman tayo, negative 10x squared divided by 2x squared na ang sagot natin ay negative 5x dahil negative 10 divided by positive 2, different signs, kaya negative. And then copy x, yung exponent natin ay 2 minus 2. Kaya ang ating magiging exponent dito ay 0 dahil 2 minus 2 is equal to 0. Or simply, ang sagot natin ay negative 5 dahil x raised to 0 is equal to 1. Negative 5 multiplied to positive 1 ay negative 5 pa rin naman. Pag sasama-samahin lamang natin silang apat, kaya ang ating final answer ay 2x raised to the power of 6 plus 3x raised to the power of 4. Positive ito, kaya plus yung ating sign. Minus x squared dahil negative, minus 5, negative 10. Next, we have dividing a trinomial by a binomial. Itong ating example, divide 15n squared minus 2n minus 24 by 3n minus 4. So, dito sa ating trinomial and binomial na ito, ang trinomial natin dito ay ang dividend at ang divisor naman natin ay yung binomial natin. Gagamit tayo ng long division method. Kaya itong ating trinomial ay ang ating magiging dividend na nasa loob ng division sign at ang binomial natin ay divisor na nasa labas. Para tayo ay makapag-divide, ang una natin gagawin ay we have to divide the first term of the trinomial, 15n squared, by the first term of the binomial. Kaya naman, 15n squared divided by 3n is equal to 5n. 15 divided by 3 is equal to 5. And then, n, yung ating variable, 2 minus 1, invisible 1, is equal to positive 1. Kaya ito ay may invisible 1 din. 5n, ito ang ating unang quotient. Ilalagay natin ito dito sa tapat ng negative 2n dahil pareho sila ng literal coefficient. And then, itong ating quotient na 5n ay multiply na natin dito by the binomial. So, 5n multiplied by 3n is equal to 15n squared. Dahil 5 times 3 is equal to 15, and 1 plus 1 is equal to 2. Next, 5n multiplied by negative 4 is equal to negative 20n. Dahil 5 times negative 4 is equal to negative 20, kopyahin lang natin iyong ating literal coefficient na n. And then, tayo ay magsusubtract na. Ang rule natin sa subtraction of integers ay we need to change the sign of the subtrahend and then proceed to the rules of addition. Ang ating subtrahend dito ay itong nasa baba. So, ang ating 15n squared na positive ay magiging negative at itong ating negative 20n ay magiging positive. And then, yung ating subtraction sign ay magiging plus sign na. Kaya, positive 15n squared plus negative 15n squared magiging cancelled out na sila dahil 15 plus negative 15 is equal to 0. Next, negative 2n plus positive 20n. Ang sagot natin ay magiging positive 18n dahil magkaiba sila ng sign. Kaya naman, kailangan natin isubtract yung kanilang mga absolute values. 20 minus 2 is equal to 18. Positive dahil ang bigger number ay 20, which is positive. And then, copy the literal coefficients. Next, bring down natin yung negative 24. Ang sumunod naman natin na i-divide dito ay itong 18n by the first term of the binomial. Yun ay magiging 18n divided by 3n, which is 6. Dahil 18 divided by 3 is equal to 6, and then n ay 1 minus 1, which is 0. Kaya naman, 6 times 1 ay 6. Kaya 6 lang yung ating quotient. Itatabi natin ito dito sa ating sagot na 5n, which is plus 6, plus, kasi positive 6 ito, itatapat natin sa constant. Next, 6 multiplied by 3n is equal to 18n. Dahil 6 times 3 is 18, then copy literal coefficient n. Next, 6 multiplied by negative 4 is equal to negative 24. Dahil different signs sila, kaya negative yung ating sign. Kailangan na nating isubtract. At kailangan din nating mag-change ng sign ng subtrahend from positive 18n magiging negative 18n. And then yung negative 24 ay magiging positive 24. And then proceed to the rules of addition. 18n plus negative 18n ay makakancelled out dahil 18 plus negative 18, magkaiba sila ng sign, magiging 0. Ganon din ito. Cancelled out din dahil negative 24 plus positive 24 ay 0. So, wala na tayong natira dito. Ang ating sagot na ay 5n plus 6. Another example tayo, dividing a multinomial by a trinomial. Let's divide 6w cubed plus 7w squared minus 12w plus 15 divided by 2w squared plus 3w minus 5. Ito yung ating dividend at ito yung ating divisor. Gamit tayo ng long division method ulit. Yung ating dividend ay nasa loob ng ating division sign at yung ating divisor naman ay nasa labas. I-multiply natin ito, yung first term ng ating dividend by the first term ng ating divisor. 6w cubed divided by 2w squared is equal to 3w. Dahil 6 divided by 2 is 3. Yung w, kopyahin lamang natin. And then 3 minus 2 is equal to 1. So ito ay may invisible 1. Yung 3w ay ilalagay natin dito sa tapat nung kanyang kapareho ng literal coefficient. And then multiply. 3w multiplied by 2w squared is equal to 6w cubed. Dahil 3 times 2 is equal to 6. And then yung kanyang invisible 1 na exponent plus 2 is 3. Next, 3w multiplied to 3w ay magiging 9w squared. Dahil 3 times 3 is equal to 9, kopyahin yung w, invisible 1 plus invisible 1 is equal to 2. Positive. Next, 3w multiplied to negative 5, ang sagot natin ay magiging negative 15w. Dahil 3 times negative 5, different signs, kaya ang sagot natin ay negative 15. Then copy w dito sa 3w. And then let's subtract. Pag tayo magsasubtract, change the sign of the subtrahend and then proceed to the rules of addition. Kaya itong ating positive 6w cubed ay magiging negative. Yung 9w squared na positive ay gagawin nating negative. At yung negative 15w ay magiging positive na siya. Babalik ta rin natin yung sign ng subtrahend. And then yung minus sign ay magiging plus sign na dahil addition na tayo. Positive 6w cubed plus negative 6w cubed ay makakancel out dahil 6 plus negative 6 is equal to 0. Next, ito namang positive 7w squared plus negative 9w squared ay kailangan nating mag-subtract ng absolute values because of their different signs. Magiging 9 minus 7 is equal to 2 at yung 2 ay magiging negative dahil bigger number si 9 siya ay negative. Kaya ang sagot natin ay magiging negative 2 and then copy the literal coefficient w squared. Ito naman, negative 12w plus positive 15w. Different signs din, so we need to subtract their absolute values. 15 minus 12 is equal to 3. And then yung 3 ay positive dahil bigger number sa 15 siya ay positive. Kaya ang sagot natin ay magiging positive 3w. Copy the literal coefficients. And then bring down plus 15. Next tayo ay magde-divide ulit nitong negative 2w squared by 2w squared. At ang ating sagot ay negative 1. Dahil negative 2 divided by positive 2 ay negative 1, different signs. Yung w squared ay magiging 2 minus 2 which is 0, mawawala na siya. Dahil negative 1 times positive 1 is negative 1. Kaya ang ating sagot na negative 1 ay ilalagay natin dito katabi ng 3w katapat ng constant. So, negative 1 multiplied by 2w squared, ang sagot ay negative 2w squared. Next, negative 1 multiplied by 3w is equal to negative 3w. And then negative 1 multiplied by negative 5 is equal to positive 5. So dahil pareho silang negative, ang ating sign ay magiging positive na. And then let's proceed to subtraction. Let's change the sign of the subtrahend. Itong ating negative 2w squared ay magiging positive na. At itong ating negative 3w ay magiging positive na. Ito namang ating positive 5 ay magiging negative. At yung ating minus sign ay magiging plus sign na. Proceed to addition. Negative 2w squared plus positive 2w squared ay makakancel out since negative 2 plus positive 2 is equal to 0. Ito ay pareho ng positive. So, 3w plus 3w is equal to 6w. And then 15 plus negative 5, different signs, so we need to subtract. 15 minus 5 is equal to 10. At positive siya dahil yung 15 natin ay positive. Kaya tayo ay may remainder na 6w plus 10 since wala na tayong i-bring down. Ang gagawin natin dito ay susulat natin ito into fraction wherein siya yung gagawin nating numerator. At yung denominator naman natin ay itong ating divisor. Kaya ang ating final answer dito sa ating question na ito ay 3w minus 1. Yung remainder natin ay fraction na 6w plus 10 over 2w squared plus 3w minus 5. And that's it for our video for today mga bata. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel, Ang Teacher Mo sa Math, for more grade 7 mathematics contents. And please also keep on liking and sharing our videos para mas marami pa akong mga grade 7 na bata na tulad mo ang maabot at maturuan dahil ako si Ma'am Regine, ang teacher mo sa math.